About this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Navigating COVID while protecting yourself can be difficult. Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 59, Tuesday sunny with a high near 84, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 85. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle, while for lunch, enjoy favorites like the veggie burger or beet salad. Located off 29th and Johnson and at hazelsnetogo.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Native Roots Trading Post at the Minnesota State Fair starting Thursday, August 25th through Monday, September 5th. We support Native American artists.
Yes, we do, and it's getting closer and closer. We've got a lot going on here, but we have a special show, Ogama, and we're going to be basically refereeing, or I should say facilitating this show with Dr. Stately when he comes on with some of his some of the people that work for him with Native American Community Clinic. But at first, let's listen to the news and talk about the news as we do every day. The news you don't hear anywhere else. Go ahead, Ogama Ganu Akwe.
Hi, Buju Anin, everybody. I'm Ogama Ganu-Akwe. I am a member of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and I've got some news here today. This one is kind of a local issue, and I'd like to bring it up because we have Dr. Antony Stately on today. But there is a proposed overhaul of the Hiawatha Golf Course in the Twin Cities here in Minnesota. The Hiawatha Golf Course was named after a fictional warrior from a Henry Longfellow poem, but it's been brought back for consideration again by the park board of the city. I believe, is it Minneapolis or St. Paul, Robert? It is the park board for Minneapolis. Yep. So after several attempts, they've been trying to reduce golf in this area to restore the environment in the floodplain that the course sits on. So currently what's happening at the Hiawatha Golf Course is that they are pumping massive amounts of groundwater out from underneath the course to keep it from flooding, because obviously it was built over a floodplain. You have to keep that water away from there. But there's excessive groundwater pumping required to keep the track dry. And then on top of that, there's this flow of garbage and litter and pollution, like different things such as pesticides from the golf course are flowing into Lake Hiawatha. And there's a lot of environmental problems that are happening with this golf course, and it's kind of at a standstill. It's been over the last, gosh, Robert, how many years has this been going back and forth with the park board?
Too long. Let's just put it that way. My goodness, too long. I was surprised to see this pop up again.
Right, exactly. So now that this is popping up again, there's actually more Indigenous people and Native people who are speaking up about this issue and saying that, their voices are not being heard because this golf course, when it was built, I believe in 1930, the park planners bulldozed a lake and destroyed what wild rice grows to create this fenced-in golf course. It was Lake Hiawatha was actually engineered from Rice Lake or Lake Psin, which is sacred to both Anishinaabe and Dakota people who regard the area where the Mississippi and the Minnesota rivers meet as a highly sacred place. So now this area has been contaminated, and they want to be heard about this area being cleared out and made a difference for Native people who would like to see the area be able to be used by the community. Dr. Antony Stately spoke at the meeting, and as we know, Dr. Stately is the CEO of the Native American Community Clinic, and he asked the park commissioners to increase the green space at Hiawatha Lake Park because there's Native children who run and play there. And there's also people who say that there needs to be a master plan to basically try to bring some sort of compromise. Really what's happening right now is the people who golf at Hiawatha do not want it to go down to 9 holes. They want it to remain 18 holes. And those who are in the community and who are Indigenous and others who are allies to the Indigenous people really want to see this place cleaned up. Robert, what side are you on? Are you a golfer?
I've golfed, but just as things go, there's other places to golf too. So I think it isn't cut and dry when it comes to being a golfer. And the longer and the older I get, like you said, the pesticides that go into the drinking water, and we don't know what they do to humans and young people is really, really a problem.
I would agree. So this is going to be coming up for a public hearing on the master plan. The Star Tribune article I was looking at and a couple others I kind of peeked into too didn't really give a lot of information on what that master plan entails. But again, the Park Board of Minneapolis is having a public hearing on the master plan for Hiawatha Golf Course and Park. It's expected to take place on August 17th, but it does not have an official date set yet. So when we find more information about that, we will definitely make sure that we bring that up. Right, Robert?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Dr. Stately just messaged me, said he doesn't have the link. Could that be?
Interesting. I'm not sure why, but I will see if I can fix that while we touch base here on this next bit of news here, which is that Minnesota Lieutenant Governor of the White Earth Band of Ojibwe and Governor Tim Walz are up for re-election this year, right? And they are up running against the Julia Parker and Ole Savior for governor and lieutenant governor. But I think what's really exciting about the candidates in Minnesota right now is that in the state legislature right now in Minnesota, 6 out of 7 of the Native candidates running for Senate or state House seats are running unopposed in their primary, which is really exciting. So they're going to go straight to the general election this November. Alicia Kozlowski, who is running for running in Duluth area, is running against Duluth City Council member Eric Forsman for House District 8B. But there are 6 candidates who are running unopposed. The 6 candidates are Steve Green, who's of the White Earth Nation. He is a Republican running for State House District 2B. Jamie Becker Finn, who's Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe descendant and a Democrat running for State House 42B. Heather Keeler is from the Yankton Sioux tribe and is a Democrat running for State House District 4A. Erica Bailey Johnson of Red Lake Nation is running for the Democratic seat for State House District 2B. Alan Roy, who we've had on Native Roots Radio as well, is also running for the Democratic seat for Senate District 2. Mary Kunish Podine, descendant of Standing Rock Sioux, is running for Senate District 41. And then at the local level, we have Tim Sumner from Red Lake Nation, who's running for Beltrami County Commissioner for District 4 for re-election. And then we've got incumbent Dan Jourdain from Red Lake Nation and Audrey Thayer from White Earth Nation are both running for Bemidji City Council at large. And there are 4 total candidates in that race. So make sure you are taking the time to get out to the primary election on the 9th, which I believe is tomorrow, right, Robert?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So,
do you know where your polling place is, Robert?
Yeah, it's down by the river at the Jewish community or Jewish synagogue down by Mississippi Boulevard.
Oh, that's exciting. That sounds like a nice place to go.
Nice walk. I walk by it every day. So, and it'll be interesting too because I think our representative is a little nervous what's going on, so it'll be good to oh, hey, there's Dr. Stately right there. It'll be good to have that happen. You know, we got to take off here in about 30 seconds. What else do you got before we go and get going with the show?
The last thing I wanted to touch on is that Welcome to Indian Country is coming to the Cedar on Thursday, August 11th, which is this coming Thursday. It is presented by NACC, the Native American Community Development Institute, All My Relations Art, Hennepin Theater Trust, and the Cedar Cultural Center. The Welcome to Indian Country program is an Indigenous music collaboration celebrating the shared Indigenous experience through music, poetry, and storytelling. Again, it's Thursday, August 11th at 7:30 p.m. at the Cedar. Tickets are $15 in advance or $20 a day of the show. And make sure you tune into Native Roots Radio as we can do a ticket giveaway.
Yep, we will. Hey, we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Come see the Native Roots Trading Post at the West End Market of the Minnesota State Fair. Native Roots Trading Post is Native owned and operated. Shop goods from local and national Native artists that you'll love instantly. Native Roots Trading Post is supporting Native artists this year at the Minnesota State Fair, August 25th to September 5th. Native Roots Trading Post, we support Native artists and you can too. Buy Native at the Native Roots Trading Post this year at the Minnesota State Fair. Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Hey, we have Dr. Stately on today, and we're going to be talking about a few things with the people that he works with. But one of the things we were just reading about in the news earlier, Dr. Stately, was the whole golf course debacle, and you were quoted in the paper too. And so before we get your staff on and talk about what you want to talk about, that was a really that's a really interesting thing that's happening. What's your take? And I know it's pretty crazy.
Well, my understanding of it is, and I was asked by some friends and some relatives who are connected to the Friends of Lake Hiawatha group to come and give like a 1-minute sort of like testimonial about the impact of the degradation of the lake on the health and well-being of Native kids living in that region. And I think, it was hard to sort of kind of give a 1-minute testimony. First of all, it's like, you don't really have to be able to do that at all, right? It's like, what can you say in a minute, and pretty much everybody that had the ability to sort of kind of give a 1-minute testimony, they all had much more to say than there was actual time for. And it was a meeting last Wednesday. It really was before the Parks Board Commission to determine whether or not they were going to vote to have a public hearing or not. And the issue really is that, back in 2014, there was some serious flooding of the golf course, the Minnehaha golf course, or Lake Hiawatha golf course. And that flooding created all kinds of challenges. That golf course and Lake Hiawatha are in a floodplain. And it's like on this kind of like designated area of Minneapolis that's considered to be like a 10-year floodplain. So in 2024, there is expected to be another flood at some point in time, especially if there's really heavy rain. Like we had really heavy rain over the last 24 hours. I'm sure if you went out to the golf course today, you'd be like, stomping around in some mud and some water and a few other things. The Parks Board spends significant amounts of money, millions of dollars every single year, pumping the water out of the golf course, and it ends up in Lake Minnehaha, or Lake Hiawatha rather. Mm-hmm. And it also ends up in the lake in Minnehaha Creek, which actually spills out into the Mississippi River and where Minnehaha or Minnesota River and Mississippi meet, that confluence there with that the Dakota people call the Bedote, their creation story. Yeah. That's where they kind of emerged. And it has a lot of cultural significance, historical significance to Dakota people. But I think the other piece to that is that there's some people who are connected to the to the golf course, a handful of golfers, and they have some money and some private money and a few other people. They have a gentleman, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's doing a documentary on the golf course. It's one of the first golf courses in Minneapolis that allowed Black African American people to kind of golf court there. So it has a lot of significance to the African American community as well. Though they don't keep any statistics on how many people actually come and golf court there, or their race or where they come from. So I'm not really sure how they would know any significant amount of that information. The biggest concern, of course, is there's a significant lack of green space and health, environmentally clean places in South Minneapolis for Native American kids and other people of color to sort of kind of play, right? And to swim and recreate in. It is unconscionable to me that the Parks Board, there's 3 or 4 members on the park board that are talking about voting down the master plan that was created, that the park board spent $800 million creating over the last several years.
How much?
$800 million to create the master plan.
What?
Right. It is absolutely nuts. There's not a lot of Minneapolis people that know this information. There's not a lot of Minnesotans that know this information, but it is unconscionable. The Parks Board technically, they pump, upwards of 400 million gallons of water out of the golf course and spill it into Lake Hiawatha every single year. And it costs millions and millions of dollars to do that. They could have probably, over the last several years of pumping all that water, they probably could have cleaned up the lake, done some reparations to the golf course, changed it from an 18 golf course to a 9-hole golf course, which is part of the master plan. They probably could have also built another golf course somewhere else in Minneapolis with Parks Board land and made that a very welcoming space to BIPOC people. It's become this really divisive issue in Minneapolis between African American community and Black and Native community. A lot of people who want to save the park, right? So,
right. Well, Dr. Stately, we could have done what you just said. We could have had a 9-hole golf course, another 9-hole golf course, and maybe a couple Lear jets too with that amount of money.
Yeah, we could have probably housed all the homeless people in Minneapolis with that $1 million, right?
For more than a year, I'll tell you that.
Well, you know what? What would solve the houseless problems is to give people houses. Right? Poor people who don't have any access to anything. So, I know we don't have 800 million people who are homeless, but if you gave each one a house and then also gave them a fund to actually be able to manage their home and to do a bunch of other things, you probably could have ended homelessness within I don't know, 8 weeks, perhaps. I don't know.
Right.
It is absolutely crazy making to me. Absolutely crazy making to me.
I thought too, if you made one less B-1 bomber, you could feed the whole country.
Our society has some really, effed up priorities, quite frankly, right? So
yeah, I think I'm gonna get.
I didn't swear. You must be happy I didn't swear.
Yeah, well, the producer is back at the mothership because they got panic me. Left in this segment, Dr. Stately, maybe you can introduce our guest and then talk about what we're going to talk about the rest of the show.
Absolutely. So today we invited 2 of my staff that work at the Native American Community Clinic. And we're going to talk today a little bit more. We talked a little bit about it last Monday, about some of the work that we're doing in the community around traditional and cultural healing, access to those services, and doing that work in our community. And I have the traditional healing, traditional health program coordinator from NACC, Anita Tapio, here with us today. Say hi, Anita.
Bonjour. Hello.
And then we have one of our spiritual care providers, Fred Desjardins, with us as well. So you can say Say hi, Fred.
Bonjour, and then I'm magani.
Oh,
Oh, look at him looking just all sacred back there in his backyard.
yeah.
Just somebody put one of those memes out on Facebook. They spelled sacred like SAKE-RIT, sacred.
Secret.
Just sacred.
Hey, before we go to break and rev up the show again after break, Dr. Stately, have you seen Prey yet?
I started watching it last night with my sons, and we started watching it like around 10:30, and I got to the middle part where I kind of fell asleep, like the part where they ended up I fell asleep, and then I woke up and they were tied to a tree, and I was like, how did they get tied to a tree? And that's pretty much like where I sort of dropped off and fell asleep, but they said that was good.
Spoiler alerts, everybody. Spoiler alerts.
Hey. Well, here's another spoiler alert. I'm glad the dog didn't get killed because I like her dog. I was worried.
He was cute. He was so cute.
I was worried about that the whole show. Well, we got a minute left. Dr. Stately, why don't you just let our audience all over Turtle Island here talk about what the rest of the show is going to be about?
Yeah, the rest of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the work that NACC has been doing over the last couple of years. So in 2018, NACC started to sort of develop and deliver cultural healing services to the community in the form of offering, spiritual care, spiritual counseling, those kinds of things, access to an elder in residence. Our first elder in residence was Donna LaChapelle. And she would meet with patients in our substance abuse treatment programming and also in the clinic. And ever since then, we've really grown that program significantly. So we're going to talk a little bit about that work that we do in the clinic and also in the community.
Perfect. Wow. You're a pro. You've been on this show so many times. I think you got to get your own show and then have me as a guest. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be back shortly. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me one. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
COVID levels may be falling, but the virus is still around. Stay healthy and up to date on your COVID vaccinations and boosters. Right now, everyone 6 months and older is eligible to get a vaccination, while everyone 5 and up is eligible for their booster shot. Plus, you're eligible for a second booster if you're over 50 or received an initial booster dose at least 4 months ago. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Smart radio for smart people. That's the Tom Hartman program. Listen to me, Tom Hartman, from 11 a.m. to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Your friends and your family will have a great time with the fantastic food like the pizzas, appetizers, burgers, entrees, and sandwiches. The best bowling in Minnesota, the wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event. Even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone age 1 to 100. Come see for yourself. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Are you remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. How much do you love your home? If you are anything like me, you know that your house is so much more than just a place to keep your stuff. It's where I can unwind with my favorite meal and a game on TV after a long day at the studio. If you love your home as much as I do, then you know there is only one cleaning company to trust with your carpet, tile, upholstery, area rugs, air duct cleaning, and more. And that's my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. If you haven't tried out Zero Res or it's been months since your last deep clean, then now is the time to call. Right now, when you mention the AM 950 special, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from the Twin Cities' #1 carpet cleaner and get 20% off your entire cleaning service. This 20% off end of summer deal is the best you're going to see, so act now. Call right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or book online anytime at ZeroResMinnesota.com and save 20% off all cleaning services. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 59, Tuesday sunny with a high near 84, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 85. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle, while for lunch, enjoy favorites like the veggie burger or beet salad. Located off 29th and Johnson and at hazelsnetogo.com.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Dang it. I always lip sync that part too, and I missed it.
I know. Wendy, did you, I think you got knocked off here. Wendy, what portion is this brought to you by?
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Peeny Gigi, Wendy. Hey, Wendy's incognito right now because she just got off the beach in New York, so she didn't want to show off her bleached hair. So before we get going here, we have a giveaway, and I want to give the question out first, and then Ogama, you say what they're going to win, okay?
All right, sounds good. We got this.
All right, this is so smooth, Dr. Stately. You'll want to buy one of these, but the question is, where is the Native American Community Clinic? What street? So the first caller that is able to call at 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 will win what, Ogama?
They are going to win 2 tickets for the Welcome to Indian Country program or performance at the Cedar Cultural Center this Thursday, August 11th at 7:30 p.m. If you do not live in the Twin Cities area, you may want to consider not calling unless you're planning on being in the Twin Cities area. These are local tickets, so just keep that in mind. Robert, what's the number again?
At 952-946-6205. Call early, call often, and you should know because we talk about this every Monday. So we're going to get Dr. Stately on right now and get going with the show here. We got a lot of exciting, important things to talk about, and I'm just going to kick back and listen, Dr. Stately.
Nice. I actually want to go to that event. Can I tell everybody where it is? And
yeah. You'll have to call in tomorrow.
Anyway. Hey, yeah. Anyway, welcome back. I'm happy to have some members of my staff here. We're going to talk a little bit about our cultural healing work that we do in the clinic. And let's start maybe with Fred. Fred is one of our spiritual care providers. We have a handful of people that work in this area for us. But Fred, like maybe talk a little bit about the work that you do in the clinic and in the community and how it sort of like supports our overall mission, which is to, take care of the mind, body, and spirit of Native people in the community.
Oh, bonjour. So yeah, miigwech for allowing me to share some space with everyone today. And like you said, Anthony, that's just what I came on board to do or to share is that vision that NACC has to take care of our relatives. And it's really awesome to be a part of this team because for my tenure here in Minneapolis, I was born and raised in Red Lake, and I grew up with a lot of the teachings and some of the things that we have intact back home, and I really like the efforts that your staff and organization provide and care wise for our relatives, and that's why it's an honor to do that. So with the spiritual care efforts and coming on board with that, some of the things that we do is a team. We organize to have some elders come down and share cedar healing ceremony once a month. That's been really receptive in the community. There's a lot of need for healing in all areas, and that offers the opportunity for our relatives to come be a part from the young ones to the elders. Everybody has a part to play when it comes to that ceremony, because we all need helpers. We need singers. We need so somebody. You're when you come there, you have a role to play. So it's really inclusive, and people come back for that one, and that's really been a good one, because it's healing, and there's a lot involved with it. So that's been a ceremony that we've been doing here, and that's been really good. Another one is just offering the spiritual care element at work, and we've been sharing a lot of teachings about different medicines with the basics from our SEMA, tobacco, cedar, sage, and sweetgrass, and then we move forward to other ones that, like right now it's harvesting season with sage, so there's teachings that go along with when to pick, how to pick it, and just some awareness with some of the clients that come through the clinic. A lot of our relatives come through, there's a need there that, and we're there to kind of fill in some of those areas through the cultural element. So I think that's been the biggest part for me, is to being a part of this team, is sharing what knowledge I have, and letting our relatives know that it's your knowledge too. This is who we are, and to remember where we come from and who we are. It's really a good thing that that NACC has this element involved, and it's growing, and there's more need for it. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do, and there's a lot more, I guess, but I just want to touch base with some of that, so that's some of it.
Awesome. So a lot of what you do is sometimes you just support people's understanding of how we use our four sacred medicines, the foundational medicines that we've been given by our Creator, which is great. A lot of people don't necessarily know that. I think we all sometimes think that everybody should know it just because like we've known it or we grew up with it, but we also have a lot of people who didn't grow up with medicines or didn't grow up with access to those services. And so I think providing that foundational teaching to them is really instrumental and helpful.
Sure. And a lot of our relatives, maybe they weren't exposed or invited to ceremonies. So that's another thing that we do through there. We have, it's kind of like a network. You have NACC, and then there's other elements that are strung with it, with our community resources. So it might lead to a sweat lodge. It might lead to a shake tent ceremony. It might lead to a naming ceremony. So it's just more than just those four medicines. There's that ceremony element to it. Leads to, and when our relatives do inquire about it, we make sure that we have a lot of resources for our elders, because in the city we have a hub of natives from all over. We got the Ojibwe, Dakota, Ho-Chunk. So we have this infusion. So what we try to do is make sure that we have everybody involved, because I think the more elders, the more speakers, the more ceremony people that we have involved, it's good to provide that ancestral knowledge from that specific area, but also just to encourage the growth of it, because I think it's been shown that a lot of our relatives have a good it helps us in our path, just knowing some of those basic things. So it's just kind of like a stepping stone to a lot of the things we do by sharing some of the basics.
Yeah. How did you come to sort of like land where you're at yourself with your own sort of kind of personal experience around medicine and healing, and ceremonial work? Like, how did you end up?
For me, well, this growing up back home in Red Lake, so I was born, and fortunately I was really fortunate to have a number of teachers and mentors, language speakers. You know, when I grew up in back home, when I went to elementary school in Red Lake, all of the faculty were first speakers, and so you had cooks, and then we had like my grandpa. And elders in the community that fluently spoke, so that led to my questions. You know, you'd see them elders at the fish camps talking, harvesting rice, or it might be hunting season. So all of those things kind of just influenced me to be where I'm at today, and especially with the knowledge of medicine, because I'm really big at learning more of that and providing that help to our, especially our elders, the ones who can't go out and pick. So we we'll give away some of the sage that we harvest, or if they, some of the basic medicines, or otherwise if it's an ailment, maybe we'll share some of the medicines that we pick for a certain ailment. But my background is just growing up in Red Lake and being fortunate enough to be around that era of people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think one of the great opportunities we have in this work is that, I grew up in Minneapolis. I grew up in South Minneapolis. I was born and raised. Franklin Avenue raised me. I tell everybody, by the way, that's the name of the street where NACC is located. I saw that there was a winner. And I think, one of the things that I remember is that, like, when I was growing up, we didn't have access to that medicine. It wasn't like plentiful in our area. We lived in a concrete jungle for the most part. So I think that, like, it's really important that we provide these medicines and these teachings and the ability to sort of understand how to use them and the relevance and the historical importance and the cultural relevance and importance in our own lives. Because that's been absent from our lives, particularly in the urban area, for so long, right? So really want to thank you for doing that and leading that work in our community. Thank you so much. Anita, do you want to kind of just introduce yourself and your title and your work that you do at NACC? And I'm not sure how much time we have left on the...
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Anita Tapio. I am the Native American. I work at Native American NACC. I am the traditional healing coordinator. So a lot of the work that I do is I coordinate. I'm Fred's assistant is what I look at it as. Fred is out there. He's the one that has the knowledge and he does all the ceremonies. And then I coordinate, I find information, I do the data. I kind of keep in touch with all the different departments that we have and find the need of. I do outreach. I work with outreach. So I go out in the community and kind of just find information of what people are wanting to hear. I coordinate, also do workshops. So we've done several workshops over the past year since I've been at NACC. We also have done we pulled off our first 2-day NACC conference that we did last March out in Mystic Lake. It was the Minigan Conference, and that name was given to us by Fred. And we'll be having another conference again this May as well. So I just kind of do that. We've done several. Our latest workshop that we did was with Linda Blackout. We just posted that on our YouTube channel.
What was that workshop?
It was good. It was an iced tea workshop. So it's just learning how to do iced teas and stuff like that. But I don't know that if a lot of people know, but NACC does have a YouTube channel. And so for all the workshop that's we've done in the past, they're recorded and they're posted on there. So we have salves, everything. Learn to make everything with our traditional medicines.
Hey, awesome. Dr. Stately, let's take a break and come back and join this great conversation, okay? You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. NN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Come see the Native Roots Trading Post at the West End Market of the Minnesota State Fair. Native Roots Trading Post is Native-owned and operated. Shop goods from local and national Native artists that you'll love instantly. Native Roots Trading Post is supporting Native artists this year at the Minnesota State Fair, August 25th to September 5th. Native Roots Trading Post, we support Native artists and you can too. Buy Native at the Native Roots Trading Post this year at the Minnesota State Fair.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Oh, we
Wow.
forgot to tell our guests to howl.
This show is flying. I did not know we were in this segment, Dr. Stately. But
Me neither. Go ahead and howl now. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was like, oh, I bet you Fred, the sacred one, can really howl well. Let's hear it. Come on, Fred.
I got neighbors.
Oh, geez. Well, but hopefully you don't live with neighbors that have big guns that will shoot wolves.
No.
All right. So, anyway, welcome back. One of the things I wanted to take an opportunity to talk a little bit about really quickly before we sort of move forward is I wanted to talk a little bit about how NACC ended up where we're at with our cultural healing and traditional healing services. So I've been at NACC for about 6 years now. I'm coming up on my 6th anniversary. And after my first full year there, being at NACC, I looked at the strategic plan and it was talking in the strategic plan. I was talking about how part of the plan was to over the next 5 years or 3 years was to develop more access to cultural healing support services. And I was like, well, I'm not really sure what that looks like and how we're going to do that. And then we also had some others. We also had some other things that were clearly necessary. In 2018, everybody might remember that the Wall of Forgotten Natives was sort of kind of like, that was the big thing that really was the big, huge crisis in our community at that time. And around that spring is about the same time that I decided to hire Donald LaChapelle as our elder in residence to start delivering some cultural healing services to the clinic and to the community. And on the first day she started, I asked her to start on the week of the spring equinox in March of 2018. And I asked her to, bring all of her helpers with her and to smudge the entire clinic. I wanted a blessing for the entire clinic. Here we are at springtime. We're starting something new. We're going to embark on this new work. And I just asked her to sort of do whatever she needed to do to sort of kind of bless the clinic and help us move in a good way. I had no idea how I was going to build this program either. And whenever I don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to accomplish something, I always sort of start with prayer. And I put out some tobacco that day, and I said a prayer, and I just said, Creator, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but just cut my path and let's figure this out together, kind of a thing. So on that day, Donna, and she had 4 young women show up with her on that morning, and they blessed the clinic. They walked around the clinic and they smudged it. The young women followed behind them and sang songs, healing songs, and it was such a beautiful experience to be part of that. I followed behind them, while they did their work. And we came around the clinic in a big, huge circle, and we ended up in the waiting area. And at that same time, as we ended up in the waiting area, one of NACC's longest clients, who had been an unsheltered, houseless person for a very long time, his name was Fred, or Frank, rather, sorry. He walked in the door and he saw Donna holding this big bowl of sage. And he looked at her and he goes, "Can I have some medicine?" And he walked over and she said, yes. And she held out the bowl of sage, and, he put his face in the bowl. And my first instinct was like, oh my God, you're going to have an asthma attack. Take your face out of the bowl. That was my first thought. Right. But when he stood up, he had these big, huge crocodile tears on his face. And he was clearly moved emotionally. And he said, I haven't had access to medicine. I haven't had any medicine for 7 years, is what he said. I haven't had any medicine. And we all knew instinctually what he was talking about. He didn't say, I haven't had my diabetes checked in 7 years. I haven't had this. I haven't seen the dentist. I haven't seen my primary care provider. He said, I haven't had medicine. And it was clear how meaningful and impactful it was to him. And he turned and he started leaving the clinic. And we said, hold up. And the ladies, the young women and Donna, they made some bundles for him and gave him medicine to take with him. And he was so grateful. He was leaving the clinic. He kept saying thank you over and over and over. And at that moment, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had this aha moment. I was like, our people don't have regular access to even things like sage, sweetgrass, cedar, asema, the things that we rely on to take care of ourselves and renew our spirit and to protect us and to help us pray. And I was like, and I made that decision in that moment that we were going to make a medicine garden somewhere, somehow on NACC's property, where we're operating. And I had no money and I didn't really figure out how I was going to do it. And so again, I prayed about it. And within the next year, we had a medicine garden, which is out in front of the clinic now in the wolf sculpture rotunda area. And, we got a really generous grant from Fourth Generation, from the Minneapolis Foundation, to start that medicine garden. And, we were able to work with the University of Minnesota and a bunch of other people to sort of plant medicines in that wolf sculpture and all around the garden. So we have all of the 4 sacred medicines growing in our area, and we also have a bunch of other medicines. And that was a really important piece of the work, moving some of this stuff forward. It was a commitment that I made that we were always going to find a way at NACC to make sure that the people in our community had access to medicines, because a lot of them can't get home. A lot of them don't know where to go and gather it. And this is a really important part of our healing. And so, today, my staff have done an amazing job building out that process and doing some amazing work. And, we continue to do that work in workshops and all kinds of work that we do. And so I'm really grateful for that we're here today to talk about this work.
Yeah, so not only do we have the medicines planted outside, all 4 sacred medicines, we have tobacco, we have sweetgrass, we have the cedar, and we have sage growing around the wolf. We also offer all 4 of the medicines to clients as they come in, if they want some. So there's sage, sweetgrass, cedar, and asema available to them as well. For them they can smudge right in the room if they want to be smudged. It's available to them at the clinic as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they can see it, how it looks before harvested, and then they also have it available to take with them. And then, like I said, we do workshops on teaching how to use the medicines, how to harvest the medicines. They're all on our YouTube channel. We have workshops throughout the year. Our next workshop is with our IOP patients. We're going to be harvesting birch bark, and they're going to make birch bark baskets. We have ribbon skirts. We teach them not only with the medicines, but we teach them how to have their traditional things. So last year we did some ribbon skirt making and ribbon shirt and taught them how to make skirts. And a lot of them were very grateful for that because they've never had a skirt or been able to attend a skirt. So now that became my personal mission when I seen the women showing up at these ceremonies without skirts, for every woman that would like to be able to make a skirt. So we're working with DIW and partnering with them to be able to have these women and have access to come in if they want to make a skirt. We have the supplies for them and they can make their own skirt. And that's Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Sewing Circle at DIW, which we partnered up with. We have workshops coming up with Adrian Benjamin this spring where they can learn to make a jingle dress. And if they do that, then they can follow along and make some moccasins as well. So we have a lot also that we do just besides medicines.
Yeah. The work that we do in our traditional healing program is supported generously through the grant that the state provided to several urban organizations and also all of the tribes. It was a bill that was passed a couple of years ago. I think 2 or 3 years ago in the legislative session. I want to say it was the 2020 legislative session. It funds our work for the next 3 years. I think a total of 5 years. And we're hoping that that support continues because we're seeing some significant results of this work. A lot of people who haven't engaged in primary care or seen the dentist or even come in for healthcare, they're coming in through the door of traditional healing and cultural healing services. They're finding a place and feeling like they're at home, and then they end up seeing their doctor or their dentist because they feel comfortable. So, yeah.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Dr. Stately and crew. This is Native Roots Radio signing off.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed,